Rating Center. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Art Lewis Show for this Monday morning, 17th of March. Happy St. Patty's Day to you. That's the last time you'll hear me say it. But anyway, it is. Everybody turns green on this Monday, the 17th of March. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, Representative Bill G. Schuette will chat with us. And at 11 o'clock on Focus, we're going to learn about a restaurant in Saginaw called Tia's Soul. But for this hour, we're going to spend time with the new Chief Executive Officer and the Director of the Midland Center for the Arts. And we say good morning to Matt Travis. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Art. Thanks for having me today.
Good to see you. As I mentioned to you earlier, too, this was, rather than a new hire for you, this was just an elevation, wasn't it? A promotion.
Yeah, it was. I've actually been at the center for 8 years, kind of in a myriad of roles. I first started as music director of community theater and community choirs. And
were you music director?
I was, yeah. In fact, I have been on the show a few times talking about some programs that we had done. Yeah,
I just forgot that you were music director.
Yeah. No, that's kind of how I got it all started. My background is in vocal music and choral conducting and kind of in academia. And I'm so grateful to come back and work at the center. It's where I had some of my first musical experiences. So it's a true honor to serve the organization I love and the community that I love in this capacity.
Well, you're a relatively young director. You're going to be around for a while.
That's my hope. This region is my home, and I want to use the center as a mechanism to help improve the quality of life in our region, to help make lives better through attending events, through participating in classes, through everything that we do. That's my hope.
Well, we have a number of things to talk about this morning: an
Sure.
upcoming production this week, the space exhibit. But before we get to that, in the year of the flood, the great dam breaks, you guys were severely impacted.
Yes.
Have you fully recovered, or is there still work going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly ongoing. As you know, we are in the middle of a transformative renovation of our building, which is underway. And
now,
so,
was that because of the floods, or was it just due?
I would say the two. Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes.
A solid yes. We had conversations about a renovation as early as 2019, but I think certainly, the damage and things affiliated with the flood maybe made us kind of tilt the focus a little bit and expand what we were intending to do. The centerpiece of that, of course, is the museum. We want to have a first-in-class type space, and we're very excited that we're well on the way there. But it's going to be people will get a chance to experience our building in a different way. We'll be expanding the education space, adding a second wing to the studio school, and we'll have some lovely community rooms that overlook Dow Gardens. So we're very excited about what's in store for us.
Are you building an addition to the building then?
We're adding a second floor above our current offices.
Addition.
So there'll be an expansion there. Yep.
The building, Midland Center for the Arts, is how old?
Midland Center for the Arts is 50. We will be 54 years young on May the 1st.
I thought it was in that range.
Yeah. We celebrated our 50th anniversary a year late because of COVID, but we did have a wonderful celebration. I guess would be now 3 years ago.
And if I were to say to you, how many services do you provide the public at the Midland Center for the Arts? Do we have enough time?
That is tricky, because I think people don't necessarily realize how multifaceted the center is. I mean, we have
why I asked.
Historical society, a professional symphony orchestra, community theater that we produce, extensive art classes and program. And then, the works that we put on our primarily our large auditorium stages that are, can be commercial in nature, Broadway shows, your favorite comedians, favorite artists. So it's all over the map. And it's really exciting to have that breadth and be able to work with folks in so many different kind of avenues of participation.
And how is the center funded?
Sure. We're funded largely through the gracious support of the community, through our various foundation partners. through grants, and certainly through ticket revenue.
So it's multifaceted.
Yeah,
in terms
definitely.
in terms of it. Are you attached to the library or not?
Yeah, so the solid answer is formally no, but
Formally, no.
formally no, but I mean, informally we do collaborate with them regularly, as we do. We kind of view it as one holistic campus. We have our neighbors on one side, Dow Gardens. Our partners, MSU Axios, in the back, and then of course across the street you also have the library, Grace A. Dow Library, and then Whiting Forest too.
That whole stretch there is
Yeah.
really quite an avenue, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. And, we have wonderful folks that we work with at those organizations. And when we can collaborate and be a team, it certainly makes us stronger to support the region.
All right, so let's talk about an exhibit you have, which is probably the most talked about exhibit I can remember at the center. And that's this virtual reality space exhibit. Explain it to us, and the extensions again.
Yeah, I think, we're working on the details. Right now it's available through April the 6th, so, get your tickets now. But yeah, you're alluding to the Infinite, Space Explorers The Infinite. And what it is, it's immersive experience, uses VR kind of as the guise to kind of get us there. But it's truly like a visit to the ISS space station. How it works is, you have sometimes if you use VR, you have to use it for your VR savvy folks. You use gloves or some type of hand device. You use your own body. You are wearing the goggles.
I have my new goggles at home. I can just use my hands, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I know some of them have that component. And admittedly, I'm not. This was actually my first kind of experience with VR. Was when we tested it out a couple of years ago. But, it's an actual visit to the ISS space station. You're walking around, you're on your feet, and then there are a series of these kind of glowing orbs. There's about 60 of them. You'll have a chance to watch maybe 10 to 15. You put your hands on them, and then a 3D video of actual astronauts in space pops up, which is really cool. It's neat. Heather Koch, who is actually from Michigan, but she's one of the astronauts that featured on it. And when she first experienced the project and got a chance to see it, the producers are there. They're very excited and eager to see, what this astronaut thinks about the Infinite. And very quickly she takes the goggles off and is overtaken with emotion. And, of course, the producers are freaking out. They think something's wrong. They're like, oh, my God, what happened? And she said, I had to stop because it was such an emotional experience that it felt like I was back in space. And that's really kind of the best way to describe it. I certainly have never been in space, but man, it sure feels close.
How long does this experience take?
Yeah, I would plan for about an hour, top to bottom.
Really?
There's a little bit of time on the front end to kind of get the goggles and get acclimated and stuff.
It's all timed, right?
Correct.
You buy a timed admission.
Time ticket. Yeah, the experience.
You only have so many goggles.
Right. Yeah, the experience itself is about 35 to 40 minutes.
It's pretty healthy.
Yeah, there's about 25 minutes in that free roam portion where you're wandering around utilizing those videos that I talked about. And then there's a 7 or 8 minute virtual spacewalk, and you're actually seated for that one.
I got to come out.
Yeah, you got to come out. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'll do it definitely. Cost?
Yeah, it really depends on the day. It depends on, weekend has a little bit premium cost affiliated. And we're also working with a lot of schools. We're very fortunate to have many community partners that have subsidized. Over 5,000 kids in the region have come to see it.
Wow, that'd be a heck of an experience.
Yeah, it's great. And they love it. And there's a discounted rate for kids, too. So it just depends on whether you're going during the week or whether you're going on the weekend.
All right. We'll take a break, come back. We're talking to Matt Travis. He is the head of the Midland Center for the Arts, newly appointed to that. He was Chief Operating Officer for a number of years. We will be back with more.
And now, 6 convincing...
Happy. I would have been happier if I had won. But it's a funny story because Laura Keenan, who was longtime choir director at Bay City Western High School, she won that year. And we, of course... she and her husband Dave, we've become really good friends and we're really close. And so I was about 8 or 9 at the time. Fast forward about 25 years later, so I'm in my mid-30s. I take this job at the Center for the Arts. I'm conducting the choirs at the Center for the Arts. And I said, hey, wouldn't it be neat if we could, I'm an avid Tigers fan, avid Tigers fan. And I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could get a national anthem gig at Comerica Park? And sure enough, we did. And what was really fascinating is Laura and her husband Dave were in the choir there. So now, quarter century later, we all got to perform together at a Tigers game. It was really kind of a cool full circle moment.
Yeah. And do you still keep your hand in vocal performance?
I don't sing a ton anymore, but I certainly love to support folks. I love to mentor young folks if they have questions about things. I mean, I think one of my greatest contributions to vocal performance, I think, is I'm the eldest in my family, and then my sister got involved, and she got way better, which is amazing. She went on, of course, to be Christina in the National Tour of Phantom and perform in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway.
She was Christina in Phantom?
She was
Christine. She hit some high notes.
She sure did, yeah. I mean, she's amazing and, continues to be an inspiration for me and one of my best buds. So, yeah, I was the older brother that got the far more talented younger sibling involved in the thing. That was my great contribution.
My greatest contribution to vocal performance is not doing it.
There you go. There's that too. But you got a great voice. I'm sure it'd be awesome.
It's funny. I had a vocal coach one time tell me, "You really ought to study vocal music because it'll help you in your speaking voice."
Sure.
And I did for a little while, but it's because when I do things, I either like to be the best or I don't do it.
Sure.
It's one of those things, Mm-hmm. And I knew I was never going to be a great singer.
I feel that. It's why I don't golf. So,
Unfortunately, I do, but I'm not the best. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to the Midland Center for
Sure.
the Arts
Task
for a
at
little
hand.
bit here, because you actually have an upcoming production this week.
Mm-hmm.
Dear Evan Hansen, tell us about it.
Yeah, Dear Evan Hansen, the Broadway, the national tour of Dear Evan Hansen will be at the Center 18, 19, 20, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'd love for you to come down and check out this show.
And by the way, folks, that's this week.
Correct.
Tomorrow,
this
Wednesday,
week.
and Thursday.
Thank you. Yep. Performances at 7:30. More info at midlandcenter.org. But it's a wonderful show. Multi-Tony Award winner. It's one of my favorites because, as I mentioned, I went to University of Michigan. And some of my colleagues who are a grade younger than me, one of my buddies that I sat next to in choir, Justin Paul and Benj Pasek, but Justin Paul in particular knew very well. He wrote it, and if you're not,
is that right?
Yeah, he did. If you're not familiar with Dear Evan Hansen, first of all, check it out. There's a movie readily available, but also you may be familiar with their work. They also did A Christmas Story, the musical, which had a live performance on national TV a couple of years ago. They also did some music from La La Land, Oscar-nominated film. I think they themselves won an Oscar for that. And then probably their most popular, famous work was The Greatest Showman. So they wrote the music for that as well.
Yeah, never enough.
Yep, exactly.
Probably one of the greatest songs ever written for a musical.
Epic and
Epic
very
is the word,
challenging.
boy, yeah.
Very challenging, too.
Yes, absolutely. There's a gal named Laura Aldred who performed. She actually did
The singing.
the vocal
Yep.
while the actress mouthed it. She was on Britain's Got Talent, I think, to do it. And what a voice! I mean, for a gal that was always in behind the scenes, and there's a lot of those performers that are behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
She used to come in and do the sample vocal for the performers, so they knew what to do.
Sure.
It's amazing, just an amazing song, and the range is good. My God.
Yeah, those guys can write, and they wrote music for Only Murders in This Building. The most recent season, they wrote a lot of the music for that as well. I mean, they've just had incredible careers. Great guys, too.
So, Dear Evan Hansen, what's it about? Because I wasn't familiar with it.
Yeah, so it's kind of about the struggles of a young boy. It kind of takes place in high school, and he overcomes a difficult situation and ultimately ends up being beloved by his classmates. So it's great music.
It's one of those that tears you apart until the end.
It does. Absolutely does. Yeah, I mean, there's some tough stuff. There is, while suicide is not a central theme, there is some
overtones.
Suicide that occurs in the show. So certainly if you're sensitive to that, it might not be the right show for you. But, just a wonderful wonderful piece.
How many shows a year, Broadway type shows, do you put on at the center?
Yeah, typically, it depends on the year, but usually there's 5 in the season. Sometimes we stretch to 6, throughout the rest of the year. We just had Hadestown, which is one of my favorites. I mean, the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, kind of set in New Orleans, very kind of jazzy New Orleans style music. Great show. And then, of course, Dear Evan Hansen. We got Stomp coming up in May.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. And we've also got Ain't Too Proud, of course, the Temptation story, which resonates deeply with our Michigan music roots. And then we end the season in June with Tina, which is, of course, the musical story of Tina Turner.
Are these all traveling casts?
These are national tours.
These are all national
Yep.
tour casts, right?
Yeah, but we've also got a
Then
great...
you got local theater.
We've got a great slate, yeah, and we're excited to produce the Stephen Sondheim classic "Merrily We Roll Along" coming up this year. And I would encourage you
That's
to buy.
in-house, right?
That's in-house,
yeah.
yeah. I'd encourage you to buy tickets for it, but I don't think that there are any available, as our youth theater education program is putting on Matilda, of course, the Roald Dahl classic. And I don't think there's a ticket to be had for that one, so you might have to go to StubHub. But it'll be a great production
What
nonetheless.
a problem to have.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's cool.
Tough.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. We're talking to Matt Travis, President and CEO of the Midland Center for the Arts. More ahead.
When challenging.
Back with you on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, the President and CEO of the Midland Center for the Arts. He is Matt Travis, and I wrote down a question.
Yeah, you wouldn't tell me what it was, so I'm
It's not
excited
bad.
and nervous, but
It's
here we go.
not bad. Whatever happened to Matrix Midland?
Good question. So Matrix exists still. It's no longer a festival in the summertime.
It used to be June, pretty much,
yeah.
was
Used
Matrix time. You knew it.
It used to be June. So we do have several events over the course of the year that we include in the Matrix Festival. We just kind of made it a subscription series, and it's usually kind of 3 to 5 events, and we do them over the course of the year. This year, of course, we had, it's kind of an eclectic mix of
It always was.
stuff. Yeah. So, this year we had Haunted Objects Live, which was a fascinating lecture on haunted stuff from the Newkirk Museum. We also had Ben Folds, who's one of my favorite artists, somebody that hugely influenced my life. And then we also had Jane Lynch and Kate Flannery.
Yeah. I remember
They
that.
did the Swingin' Little Christmas. And for those of you that might not be familiar with those names, Kate Flannery was Meredith on The Office. And Jane Lynch, of course, you know her from Glee. She was also Miss Hannigan on Broadway. She too
She's
was
been all over the place.
Yeah, Only Murders in This Building. You've seen her on TV, I promise.
You bet.
But they also had great musical chops and had a wonderful backing band. I mean, that was I think objectively, I say that all of our shows are good, mainly because many of them are, but that one was objectively a great show.
And so Matrix exists, just not as a concentrated.
Yeah. It just we found that people's behaviors in the month of June changed. People travel a little bit more. People go up north a little bit more. We kind of saw declining numbers in that festival type model. What it was is that folks maybe were only attending 1 or 2 events. So like the events per patron, that kind of number was going down, which told us maybe if we space these out a little bit over the course of the year, it might make for a little bit more successful product.
And did it?
Yeah, we've generally been happy. We're happy to get some of these wonderful artists, and we're about to announce on May the 7th, we'll announce our season for 25-26, which is hard to believe. And we've got some great stuff cooking for that, too.
That's an interesting comment because, how far in advance do you have to plan your seasons? Because, you're competing with all the other theaters around the country to get these folks.
Correct. Yeah, and I appreciate you asking about that because that's a really complicated process. Some of the Broadway shows, we'll be talking 18 months in advance. We typically aim to finalize. So we're just finalizing what we're going to announce for 25-26, which will go through. The end of that season will be June of 26.
Do you work with a booking agent, or is it pretty much you got to deal with every show separately?
So for Broadway's, there's kind of 3 to 5 that we work with. But for some of the other things, I mean, you mentioned Matrix specifically, there's dozens of agents that we work with for stuff like that, which can make it tricky. I mean, sometimes nailing down the date is really challenging. Shows will ask us to hold many dates because, as you know, as someone that, as a passionate traveler and worked in that industry for a long time, what they want to do is they want to make sure that, if they're coming to the Center for the Arts on a Wednesday, on Tuesday night, they're not in Spokane, Washington, and after they go from the center, they're not in Boston.
Right.
So they want to make sure that they're coming from routes that make more sense.
Yeah, scheduling's a big thing.
It's hard. It's really hard, and we do the best to navigate things, but it does really get tricky because a lot of these shows they'll ask us to hold many dates,
which locks you up.
Correct. Yeah, and so that's what makes it tricky. Obviously we want to get the optimal date. We want to get the date that we think is best for our region, best for our patrons, best for our organization,
and the optimal show.
And the optimal show, yeah. And sometimes it doesn't. The date piece doesn't come in the way that we like it, but we certainly do the best we can and are happy to collaborate with our partners on the production management side.
It's the Midland Center for the Arts. We're talking to Matt Travis, newly elevated president and CEO, although he's been there for a number of years. And we will have more when we return, but let me take a moment to talk about your automobile, talk about keeping it in good shape. And we do that at Quick Lane Freeland in Midland, right next to McDonald Ford. It's on the McDonald Ford property. But don't let the name McDonald Ford fool you, because they work on all makes and models of cars to keep them in tip-top shape at Quick Lane Freeland. And, they do all the routine maintenance. They change your oil, brakes, batteries, and tires. And, you've heard me talk about tires because for the past few months they've been selling tires at just $5 over cost. And these are not off-brands. These are brand names like Michelin and Goodyear and B.F. Goodrich. Plus, if you think just $5 over cost is good, how about the fact that some of these tires carry an additional $60 to $100 in rebates? There is extra for installation, including balancing and lifetime tire repairs. They have a great customer lounge with free internet, free ice cream bars, all waiting for you at Quick Lane Freeland, right next to my car dealer, McDonald Ford. And if you're looking for a new or previously owned vehicle, stop into McDonald Ford. Take a look at their great inventory, particularly if you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle. They have all makes and models on their lot. Stop in. Visit them today. Quick Lane Freeland and McDonald Ford.
It's the final episode of Ringside.
Back with you, talking to Matt Travis, President and CEO of the Midland Center for the Arts. Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, tickets available for the production of Dear Evan Hansen. How would someone get tickets?
Yeah, you're welcome to check out our website, www.midlandcenter.org. That's probably the best way. Or you can give us a call, 989-631-5930.
And for those that don't know, this was a Tony and Grammy-winning musical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great show.
Fabulous show. And you have sponsors?
We do. Thanking the Gavin Wealth team for sponsoring our Broadway season. Also shouting out Greenleaf Trust, who sponsors our donor lounge. And we've got lots of wonderful Circle of Friends sponsors at the Center for the Arts.
You mentioned your donor lounge.
Yeah.
I've seen that. What is that all about?
Yeah, so for folks that make a contribution to the Center for the Arts, you get access to the donor lounge.
What's the level? I mean, it's
Yeah, of course you're going to ask me that right now.
'cause I gave you $1, I wouldn't qualify.
It's either 1,000 or 1,500. It of course escapes me right in this moment, but and then we'll of course reevaluate that for future years. But yeah, newly renovated. It has private restrooms now, which is really a nice perk. So you can sneak in an intermission quickly and get something to eat and go to the restroom if you have to, and then get back in time for the second half of the show.
Because you provide food in there? Or you
We
provide
do,
snacks
yeah,
and food?
yep. There's food in a cash bar, but you do have access to soft drinks and stuff as well.
And that's for donors. Because
Correct.
I've seen it. I often wondered about it.
Yep.
So we were there, my late wife and I, when, what's his name now? The Food Network guy he did the show there.
Anthony Bourdain.
No. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, we got VIP things, so we were in the meet and greet in the audience and all that stuff, and got a chance to communicate with him and stuff, and it was great. It's a great place to see productions because it's so open.
Yep.
I mean, it's just one big auditorium is what what it comes across like.
Yeah, and it's I mean it is continental seating, but I think that it's pretty spacious, so people can kind of navigate.
You don't
and,
feel like you're on top of each other. you
Yep.
know?
I also want to just properly call everybody out, the sponsors for Dear Evan Hansen, which is the Wealth Enhancement team of the Gavin team, and we're so supportive and appreciative of their support. Our partners at My Michigan Health, who will have an interesting panel tomorrow night. Midland Oral Maxillofacial Surgery, that one is always very stressful to say. And also our friends at Health Advantage Credit Union.
That's you really. I mean, it takes a lot of sponsors to do these things, doesn't it?
For sure, yeah, and we're very fortunate to have so many wonderful community partners in the business field, and also partners in the philanthropic and foundation field, and individual donors. It's really quite humbling to see how supportive folks have been, and we're deeply appreciative of the generosity of this region.
Guy we saw was Alton Brown.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And it was phenomenal. It
Yep.
was a great show.
We've had
Really
him
was.
a few times and hope to get him back
And it
before
was
he's
a big
done.
crowd. I mean, it was a huge crowd.
Yeah, he's got quite a following.
Yeah, he does. He's very talented. It was very enjoyable. So you've got Infinite, the space exhibit.
Yep.
And is that considered the museum, or is that separate?
Right now, it's just a product of the Center for the Arts. The museum proper is closed during renovation, but it is up in the upper portion of the museum, so the top level. That's where it's existing.
So you're renovating the museum. How is it going to change from
Yeah.
what it was?
So I think what's really interesting about this concept of the museum is when we did the community conversations about it, we worked with our partners who are designing it, a team from Toronto called Reich and Petsch, and a team from Germany called Hüninger, and they're designing the actual exhibits. They came and worked with folks in the community, and they showed two pictures to people, right? One was kind of a very stereotypic picture of an artist, with a beret, canvas, paintbrush. The other was a very stereotypic picture of a scientist, with a lab coat and microscope and that kind of thing.
That's the one I'd choose.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But they asked folks which one of these people are creative. And the vast majority of people, of course, chose the artist.
They both are.
Exactly right. And so that's just it. The kind of thesis statement of this museum will be, how do we expand the definition of creativity? Because whether you are painting, composing music, acting on stage, or you're solving problems in your day-to-day life, figuring out how to run a radio show.
I mean, for
anything.
a museum to be sitting in the lap of Dow Country
Sure.
would be inexcusable not to include the scientific side.
For sure.
It wouldn't make any sense.
It'll definitely be both, but I think it's kind of indicative of that intersection of arts, science, and humanities where the Center for the Arts lives. And I think this idea of reevaluating what creativity looks like and kind of fostering concepts of different types of creativity is really important to us.
So will you have a separation of galleries, if I could put it any other way? Will there be an art side where you have a house collection, if you have it, or traveling art, and then the museum side for science?
Yeah, I mean, there are spaces where we could certainly do that. I mean, I think the idea is to kind of create as flexible create as many options as possible, so that way we can potentially do exhibitions from other parts of the country. But finding ways to celebrate history, art, and science in the museum, all of those will be ever present in different ways.
Will you have room for traveling exhibits?
Yes.
Like from the Smithsonian or someplace like that? I know that, in Saginaw, when they wanted to bring in Smithsonian, they had to redo the Castle Museum for temperature, humidity, and all of those things in order to qualify to get those traveling exhibits.